Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Danny Grieves Show. This is Scott Kerker, along with Metamore head coach Danny Grieves.
Hello.
Coach, how's it been going the last 8 months?
Yeah, it's gone pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
But it's getting even better here this week.
Yeah, we're less than 24 hours away from you tipping off your 13th season at Metamore.
Correct.
But in those 8 months since we last talked, and we've talked since then, but
Right.
last time we were on television together, things have gone pretty well for you. You've gotten to go down to Springfield to the state capitol.
That was fun.
Recognized down there, and that had to be really, really cool.
It was great for the kids to go down there and get that kind of recognition and see, how our government runs.
2 former Metamore basketball players introduced you guys. That was
did.
kind of neat. You also got to throw out the first pitch at a Chiefs game.
Had our team there and everybody, and it was a good pitch. It was a strike, in my opinion.
We'll take your word for that. Also over the summer, your team's gotten better. You lost some key players. You lost Tyson Swanson, Drew Tucker, and Ethan Kaiser, and then some other guys too.
Right, but 3 solid starters, 1 a 4-year starter, and the other 2 were 3-year starters, so yeah.
Yeah, that had to be a little bit of a blow, but everybody loses players. You have a nice nucleus coming back, and then you added Cooper Koch, a really good player from Peoria, Notre Dame.
Great kid, good player, fits right into our system. It's been nice to see him come over.
Yeah, 6'9" is always nice to
He
see.
makes me a much better coach.
But when you look at your team coming into the season, you had to feel that your team was a very competitive, and it was going to need to be pushed, because you went out and scheduled one of the toughest schedules I've ever seen a high school team have.
We were going to be good without Cooper Koch. But with him, he brings the game to another total level. And the way I look at it is our guys had a good off-season. Summer was good. June was good for our teams. AAU-wise, they did well. Our preseason's been fantastic. But it's a total new team. It's not like last year's team. We have quite a few spots that are untried. They were not to have to be impact players every night. And, that's the jury's still out on that. But we've got a solid 6 guys that we can start any one of them and not lose much or anything. And so that's pretty exciting. Along with that, we got 7, 8, 9, 10. Can we go deeper than just 6? I hope so. I'd like to play 8 or 9.
Yeah, that'd be awfully nice if
Yes.
you could do that. And I think at times you're probably going to have to, because you go up and play at Christmas time in the Jack Tosh tournament up
Right.
in York,
High School.
and you go 5 days in a row. You're going to have some contributions from some guys.
Well, it's a 32-team tournament. It's bracketed. It plays all the way out. If you make it to the Final Four, you get to play that 5th day. And, it's 3 and 4A schools, suburbs, got some really good talent, and it all goes there. Mm-hmm. We're the only team ever that's been coming down from Southern Illinois. So they let us in. They thought we'd, be a good draw, and I hope we are.
I think so too. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been online. I've seen some today. Mount Carmel's, who I think, and we talked about this earlier, is in some polls the number 1 4A school in the state.
And the others would be normal community.
And the other is normal community. You will play them later on. I think it's in January. You play
Yes.
them down at Normal West.
Normal West shootout.
Maybe the tallest team in the state.
Maybe the tallest team in the country, other than a prep school.
Yeah.
I'd have to believe it.
Yeah, they're awfully tall. They're going to be awfully
They
good. And not to mention, some of these other teams that you got. You're also, tomorrow night you're going to tip off against Notre Dame.
Right.
Cooper Koch's former team.
Sure.
His first game as a Redbird will be against his former team.
Right.
But then you play 2 academies, one from, I believe, Florida and one from Indiana.
One from South Carolina,
South Carolina.
and one from Florida.
So those are not going to be easy tests.
And the possibility of playing Hoover, Alabama, another 7A champ down in Alabama. So, thing is, we could play 3 of the best 4 teams we play all year long over there, and that's good. We need to see how we measure up. Can we rebound and defend? I think we can score, but the jury's still out a little bit on team defense and what we can do on the offensive or defensive glass. So we'll see what happens.
Now, evidently, your theory is to, right from the get-go, get out there and play it as tough opponents as you can.
Right.
Because this tournament can humble you.
It has.
And
One and 3 in the first year, 2 and 2 in the second.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
And you know, when you look at your team right now, you know, they come in they're number 1 in 3A,
Right.
16th in the nation,
Right.
and you're going to come right out the gate and have to play some really, really tough teams.
We can play good basketball and not win certain games. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
And then come right out of there and play Washington and Morton back to back. So that's a good 6-game start.
Oh, that's a tremendous 6-game start. And you know, I look for there to be big crowds at Washington because Metamore is going to be the featured team in this area, and everybody's going to want to come out and watch. And, you know, when you play these teams from Florida, they don't know anything about it. Or they don't know.
Not much.
No, you've won 64 games.
They only know what Washington's given them.
And that may not be much. I mean,
Right.
so, yeah, you know, and you do have a track record of against those type of teams being able to come out and play very, very well.
And we have. You know, we're usually pretty prepared. You know, I've already watched the 2 teams we play after Notre Dame, you know, about 5 or 6 films. You know, they've got mostly everything coming back from last year. Probably not much change, except they're just bigger and stronger. So we're looking forward to those kind of things. So we've done a good job preparing. But even though that we have, you only still have a day or 2 in between each game. And those kind of tournaments and games are more about us than the opposing teams.
Right.
And so, you know, that's kind of where our focus is. And, you know, let's see what we do best and see what we can do to find and scrape up a win somehow, some way.
You know, we talked about Cooper Koch coming in. You know, you talked about the 3 guys you mentioned earlier who last year weren't looked upon as being, you know, big contributors that are going to have to this year.
Right.
But the one guy we haven't mentioned yet is Tyler Mason.
Right.
And Tyler Mason and Cooper Koch make for probably as good a duo as there is in the state of Illinois.
I'll tell you what a great 1-2 punch. You know, and Tyler has been, you know, underestimated in what he can do and his abilities and, you know, what he's supposed to be able to make happen. And somebody forgot to tell him because I tell you what, he's been a beast for 2 years in a row, and all of a sudden, you know, he still doesn't get the recognition that he should.
No.
But you watch, he's even better than he was last year. But he's put in the time. He's hungry, but he's humble. And when you got that kind of combination with a kid that's got his abilities, he's been fun to watch get better.
You list him at 6'2", I believe.
Yeah.
Is he truly 6'2"?
Yes.
The amount of height he gets when he jumps is just amazing. I mean, last year he had as good of dunks as I've seen a 6'1" or 6 foot or 6'2" guard I've ever seen. And you know,
his legs are even stronger this year. He's really put on a show sometimes at practice. But you know, with that being said, you know, he can score at all 3 levels. You know, off the bounce, stop and pop, to the rim, dunk it. You know, but what I love about him, he's so unselfish, and he's an excellent passer.
Yes.
And so that makes him, you know, really a guy. How do you guard him? You know, I think people are just going to try to get up and really try to be physical with him. And he does well with that kind of game. You know, he's a strong kid. He benches 245. He might look like he's not very strong, but he's a strong kid.
Yeah, and you could tell that last year. You know, and he's stronger this year, but last year I thought he was incredibly strong with the ball.
Right.
I think there was only one time against Simeon that they were able to kind of muscle the ball away from him, but he got double teamed, and for the most part, he was very, very reliable.
He's pretty crafty with the ball.
Yeah,
he is.
He's a very, very good player when it comes to that kind of stuff. Your inside game, you know, you've got Koch at 6'9",
right?
You've got Luke Hopp also at 6'8".
Well, Luke has done a great job of bringing his game along. You know, he's gained some more weight and strength that really helps. You know, his ability to grab a rebound and go in transition. He's one of our best guys at bringing the ball up in transition. And he can handle it. He can stop and pop. But he does a really good job of hitting the open man in transition. And what I love about him is, you know, most big guys can't handle and shoot from the 3, and he can.
Yes, and I've seen him do that when he was a freshman and a sophomore.
Yes.
He was very good at that. He was inside, outside.
He used to be a little bitty old guard, and he kept growing, and now he's got some guard skills. But his footwork has gotten so much better inside. And, he does a good job of getting to the rim and finishing where, in the past he's struggled a little bit with footwork and strength getting up to the basket. Those days are gone. He's really changed his whole physique, and he's been a joy to watch. He's gotten a lot better. You'll see a new kid this year.
Well, I think you mentioned before we went on the air that a lot of the progressive, the reason he has progressed so much is the fact that he's had to go up against Cooper Koch every day in practice.
Every day.
And that's got to help you. So, when I look at those two guys inside, along with Mason, and then you look at Matthew Zobrist at 6'5", and then your grandson, Ashton. 6'3".
He's more 6'2".
6'2", very good shooter. I did watch Matthew Zobrist one day in an open gym this fall where he sat outside and he was just shooting, they just kept throwing him the ball.
Right.
I think he made about 9 threes in a row. And I thought, he didn't do that at all.
He's very capable.
Yeah, he could be he gets on those hot streaks. He's one of those streaky shooters. And at 6'5", man, that is a nightmare for a defense.
Left hand. What I love about him going to the rim is, when he gets downhill going to the basket, he can finish right or left. Sometimes I think he might even finish a little bit better right-handed, but he's really been fun to watch, and I tell you, he's moving his way into maybe being a Power 5 guard. And I think he can. He just needs to keep working, keep grinding like he has. Very proud of his improvement.
And then you look at, Nick Walker, who kind of has bided his time.
One of my favorites.
And it just works his butt off. And
yes.
I look for a big year from him, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. A guy that can get you some big key rebounds. You say he's shooting a lot better this year. And, he's a big physical. He's kind of that physical presence.
And he's a guy that can guard anybody on the court from the 1 all the way to the 5. He'll be asked to guard some of them big boys in this tournament. At 6'9" or 6'8", and he's so physical that he can do that.
And then you've got other guys. You got Kendrick Shaffron, who's kind of coming off football a little bit. But
him and Sam. Sammy Bagol.
Sammy Bagol too is another big physical body you've got that you can bring in.
Sam 6'5", Kendrick 6'6". And has good ups. They've really come in and done a nice job after having a really good football year. So we've been pleased with their progress.
Yeah, I thought Shaffron in that public scrimmage you guys had about a week ago.
Yes.
I thought he looked. It's tough to go from football to basketball, but it looked like he's really kind of made that transition pretty well.
He's getting it.
And there's a guy you're going to probably have to lean on a little bit in these tournaments.
Well, he's so athletic, and he's really quick. He's not a great leaper, but he's a quick jumper. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, he does a great job getting to the rim, and he's been finishing here lately, which is great. But his ability to go get a rebound has been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that physicalness is something that's going to be big for you guys at some point.
Sam's been a bruiser.
Oh, Sam's always been a bruiser.
He'll put a screen on you, man. It's a screen, you felt it. So I'm glad to have Sam back.
Yeah. Sam's been a nice player. He's really worked hard to get where he's at. And it's nice to see there's a guy that just wants to come in, play defense, get rebounds, and set pick.
Right. Do what he has to impact success.
When you look at your team right now and you compare them to some of your other teams in the past, and that's not really a fair question, but are you pleased with where your team is right now?
Yeah, I think we have a pretty high ceiling with this group. Are we as far along with this group this year as we were last year, or maybe even the year before? No, because of the unknown on the ball handlers and defenders. You don't replace a defender like Tucker. It's just amazing. And what his ability to bring the ball up, for 3 years, you just knew it was going to happen. And now it's we did it by committee a little bit over the summer. Mason did a great job of bringing it up, but he has to score so much too. And then who's going to guard that best player? Is it going to be Ashton? Is it going to be Matthew? Is it going to be Nick? We still have some unknowns. We're definitely a work in progress.
And that may change every game.
Could the ceiling be a little higher than last year? It could be, but who knows? We'll see how it pans out.
That's tough, but you don't want to be peaking yet.
Oh, no, we're so far from peaking. We weren't talking about peaking. We're just talking about getting better. And can we surpass last year's capabilities? I think we can maybe get there and maybe surpass it. Who knows? But we'll have to see what we're made out of. You put them through all those year-round lifestyle of working hard and getting in the weights. But when the lights flip on and they toss that ball up, things change sometimes.
Oh, they do.
What are you made out of?
The bright lights change things.
Right.
And it's tough. It can be tough.
Do you have some heart? You the Tin Man, or what happens when you get out there? Do you have the courage of the lion? What can you make happen? I don't know. We've got some guys that are going to have to find out real quick because they're getting thrown into the fire tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think you've got a couple of knowns.
Yeah.
In Cooper Koch and Tyler Mason, and then you've got some other guys that you've just got to kind of push them along. I think they'll be there because those kids at times have shown they can handle the bright lights.
They're going to be there. To what extent and to what heights they can go, I don't know. They've worked their tail off here the last 2 weeks. They looked really good, and let's toss it up and see how it goes.
Why don't we go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about your upcoming schedule and who you're going to play and your thoughts on those teams.
Sounds good.
Central Illinois, you asked for it and we listened. Germantown Grill is growing to meet customer demand, adding more dining space and a private gaming area featuring games powered by Gold Rush, the gold standard in video gaming. And Germantown Grill still has all the food and spirits that keep our customers coming back. Stop by to check out our daily specials. The game's on at Germantown Grill, where Central Illinois loves to eat. Open 7 days a week, just off Route 116.
Welcome back, Coach. Tomorrow night you tip off the season against Peoria Notre Dame. You beat them last year by 25 over at Normal West. This year, the thing about Notre Dame that always, I think they're always a team that's a little bit perplexing because they play that zone.
Right.
They're always so long. I think they just, I don't know. I don't think
They'll start 2.69s and it's 6'5". Some people list him at 6'6", but he's 6'5". Graham, good player. But they play that matchup, so for the 1-3-1, they'll slow the whole game down by going to 1-2-2 on 3 quarters, hoping you dribble across so they can trap. You got to take time out of every possession to make sure you don't screw that up. A lot of times get in trouble because they do. They try to rush through it, and so it limits possessions. You don't have the high score. I'd love to run up and down, but it's just a different style that you have to learn and master, and we're ready for it.
And even last year you had a little trouble in that first quarter, but things settled down and you were able to get your.
I think it was more of what we didn't do, because I watched that film again today. We kind of stunk it up, So it wasn't necessarily what they did to us, but sometimes when you aren't ready for that, or you think you're ready for it, but you kind of go through the motions, you find out that you really got to stick to a plan, and that's what happened. We finally figured that out.
And then you play the team, I believe, from Florida next.
Yes.
And then you play the team from South Carolina. Those two
Praise
teams.
Academy, yeah.
And you say you've had multiple films on both those schools, so you're going to be prepared.
Right.
But those teams, I'm sure, are very athletic, and you're going to have to play, a very good game, or you could get humbled in either one of those.
They have size, they have depth, they have athleticism. They've got shooters. They got a little bit of everything you'd want in a really good team. That's why they're state champs, and in their schools and at their states. South Carolina team, man, I tell you what, they fly up and down. But so does Victoria Christian from Florida. But they have individuals. One kid is going to Florida International, I think it is, average 28.5 points a game. Next kid is 16 points a game. But they're just flying up and down and just jacking up shots. All right, we're going to try to score early or late. So we're not just going to fly up and down with them either. But I like the idea of going up and down with the team.
I know.
All right. So, but there's also times that you got to slow it down and make them play. And I haven't seen them do that on any of the films. They're a one-horse pony. They're going to go up and down, and I want to slow it up at times and make them play, and a little bit of cat and mouse and see what they can do with that.
The thing that people that don't watch a lot of Metamora, they probably think, okay, you're playing these athletic teams, you're going to want to slow it down. That's not really your preference. You'd rather get up and run a little bit.
Well, we've got a 35-second shot clock.
Yes.
In all 4 games. We'll have that 17 out of the 31 games we're going to play.
All your non-cons are going to be shot clock.
Or shot clock, because they're shootouts or tournaments.
Yeah.
And so we're used to it. We use it every day, all day long. And the great thing I like about it is, like last year, they go, well, they had the shot clock, but you didn't really notice it. I go, there you go. You didn't really notice it because everybody had to play. You know, there's no stalling, holding the ball. You know, you're going to have to shoot every 35 seconds or you're going to lose it. So I like the idea of let's get out there and go toes to toes and nose to nose and play instead of holding the ball for, 8 minutes at a time like we had over the Christmas tournament at the State Farm Classic.
A few years ago, yep. That was
so that's exciting to me. I think that suits our style a little bit more.
Yep, I think so too. And then as soon as you get done with this tournament, then right off the bat, you start with 2 conference games. I believe it's Washington.
We have a week off. Next Tuesday we have Washington at home, which would be nice. We'll pull out our banner that night, our state banner, show off a few rings, and then try to put a whipping on them. So that's the game plan. And then that Friday we have at Morton.
Yes.
Yeah, so a good solid 6 games to start the season.
That's a tremendous first 6 games of the year. Like I said, I think that's as tough a schedule as I've ever seen at Metamora, and probably a good thing.
Well, we play O'Fallon at UIS, where we played Sacred Heart Griffin last year. Mm-hmm. They're the team that beat East St. Louis twice last year and won their conference.
Yes.
We play Harvey Thornton down at the Highland Shootout in St. Louis.
Yep.
Who's just got probably, arguably the best center in the state.
Transfer in, going to
Illinois. So we've got some, normal community over at Normal West. We're going to be challenged. I didn't set this up to run 32 in a row.
No.
But we'll see what happens. Why not?
Well, Coach, it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah,
it's going to be a fun ride. And, you said earlier, we could play a really, really good basketball game and lose.
That's true.
And, there at times that can be okay.
Right.
But what it does do is it makes the conference I'm not going to say easier, but it makes it a little bit easier to navigate through the conference when you're playing these top-notch teams all the other nights.
It gets you a little bit more prepared athletically because it's playing at a little bit higher level. But there's no break when it comes to the top teams in the Middle-Illini. They're going to try to pick you apart. They're going to try to take away everything you do, and it's always a good challenge on the top teams in the Middle-Illini.
When you look at the Middle-Illini, you look at probably Morton. I think Pekin will probably be a little bit better.
They'll be decent.
And Dunlap will be decent.
Yes, they will.
And those are the 3 teams I think you really got to watch out for. But any of those,
Washington.
And Washington's always going to be
because they're always solid.
They're always going to be solid.
Even when they're down, they're going to try to steal the show on running, make you run their style. And if they're trying to slow it down, they will. They do a good job of trying to dictate tempo at times. And so you just got to overwhelm them. You got to put a whooping on them early.
But then you also have 3 new coaches in the conference. You got Abe Zeller at Morton.
Right.
I believe John Gersnich went back to Canton. And I believe, is it Matt Brown went to East Peoria?
Went to the East Peoria.
Yeah, so you got 3 new coaches in the Middle-Illini Conference.
Right.
A couple of them you're pretty familiar with.
Right.
Zeller, you've only played them once when he was at Ronald Benson in the COVID year.
And of course, he's done a great job over there for a while.
Yeah.
He's a solid coach. It won't be over there. Yeah, we got a new coach. But, he's going to do a nice job.
Yeah,
he's very solid.
So, Coach, good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
It's going to be a basketball frenzied 5 days.
Right.
And then you're going to get a little bit of time off to kind of get settled down again, and then get into the conference play.
Well, we've been so fortunate with the people and the crowds and the people at school, our administration, and Redbird Nation as far as following us. Man, I'll tell you what, and our kids feed off of that. I guarantee you tomorrow night we're going to have a great crowd.
Yep.
The 8:30 game is kind of a crappy time. They stick us late. We'll probably start about 10 because we'll be behind. But I'll tell you what, our fans follow us.
Yes, they will.
And they do a great job. We had the best fans by far anywhere we went last year.
That State Farm Center was packed.
Ooh-wee.
They talk about how
UIS sold out.
Yes. But they talk about what an advantage it was moving from Peoria back down to Champaign. The only reason Champagne's been
You
successful,
take our crowds out of there,
and it's only
not
because
the
of
same.
Metamora.
Yeah.
It's only because of Metamora. And if you take our crowds out of it, especially this past year, that arena would have been.
Our people have been amazing.
Yeah.
What they've done for our community, in our basketball team, it's really been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
What a transformation.
Yeah. And you really got to, and hopefully they'll continue to do that, and I think they will.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Coach, good luck tomorrow night. We'll see you next week on the Danny Grieves Show.
Thanks.